Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am checking in. It's been a little bit since I have done a video, but today I wanted to pop in and I wanted to share the cards, plural, I created using the Greetery Print Shop Spring mix. It's a stamp and stencil combo, and then there is a coordinating die that you can get as well. And in typical fashion with the Greetery, all of the stencils are numbered so you know which order to do your ink blending in. There's a little laser etch number in the upper left-hand corner of the stencils. And these stencils are created to use for an A2 size card. So basically 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I am just using my Pink Fresh Studio inks, and I'm going to ink up this first layer of the stencil set. And the stencil basically creates this gorgeous bouquet of, I guess, wildflowers, you would say. And then it has the coordinating die to, the coordinating die to cut it all out, and then also the coordinating stamps, which stamp the flower centers. So it's a really great stamp set to use for pretty much any kind of floral all occasion cards. These would make great birthday cards. You could use it for sympathy cards. Really, the sky is the limit with these. I even think that you could probably make some fall flower cards with these, just changing up the colors a little bit. Obviously, I was creating these for Easter, so I'm using some fairly bright colors from Pink Fresh Studio, and I really wanted my card to pop. So definitely, I think you could use this for a lot of different things, and it's such a fun set, and these cards came together so quickly and so easily. Really, anybody could do this. It's super simple. So my first layer is done. I am just adding on my second layer here, and I'm going to use a little bit darker ink. This would be sort of the shadow layer. It doesn't really look like a shadow layer, but it kind of is a shadow layer, I guess, for the greenery. And I did not tape my card base down. I'm just using the Altenew. It's like a silicone mat, and I think I picked this up for like $5 from Altenew. I don't know if it was on sale or on clearance, but I just put this on my glass mat, and I put my paper on it, and it pretty much holds my paper in place. And then I put my stencil over that, and I don't have to worry about taping it down. It doesn't really move very much, so this actually worked really well, and it was pretty quick and easy. And these cards turned out beautifully. I actually want to make a lot more of these. I made 3 for Easter, so it was pretty fun to do the 3 that I did. And a little tip I realized after I had done all my, I did 2 of my panels this way, where I ink blended it first, and then I used the dies to cut it. Actually, it's easier if you use the coordinating die to cut it out first and then ink blend over top of it, because the alignment is a little bit easier to get that way. When I die cut the first 2, they were just slightly off. It wasn't a big deal, but obviously the third one, when I just cut the cardstock first and then ink blended on top of it, it turned out perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and put on a little bit of music here. And let you watch the rest of this ink blending process. You'll see me go back a couple of times over some areas to darken up either the center of the flowers or the edges of the flowers, just to give them a little bit of definition. And that's kind of the beauty of the stencils. You can go back and forth. If you didn't get enough ink blended on the first time, you can always go back and add more, or even add in a different color and really change up the way your flowers look. So let me put on some music and I'll let you enjoy, and I'll be back in a jiffy. Okay, I am just putting the finishing touches on these final flowers here. I did go back and add a little bit of additional shading on the outer edges of these just to give them a little bit more definition. And I actually like the way that that turned out. It's such a pretty cluster of flowers, and I know it looks kind of weird right now because it doesn't have the flower centers, but we're going to use the coordinating stamp from the Print Shop Spring mix, and we are going to stamp in those centers. And the nice thing is that the stamp and stencil set comes with this, it's like a reference guide that tells you exactly which flowers, see they're numbered, which flowers, which stamps go with which flowers. There, got it out. So you know exactly which ones to use, and the smaller ones are sort of clustered together in the grouping, so it's not like a little itty bitty stamp that you have to stamp each flower. A couple of them are, but for the most part they're in clusters, so it makes it really easy to stamp these. And getting them lined up really wasn't difficult either. They line up pretty easily. And even if you didn't get it lined up perfectly, nobody's gonna know. They're flowers. I mean, it can be imperfect, right? So I'm just putting my first grouping of flowers here, and I'm just checking the reference guide. And I think I mentioned that this, the die set comes with some coordinating dies, not only to cut the outer part of this out, but there's some extra dies in there to cut additional flowers, so you can make your flowers really dimensional by layering them over top of these. So that's another option too. So there's a lot of value with a stamp and stencil set like this, and I think you really can use it for a lot of different things. So it's really a great option. And I love everything that the Greetery does anyway. I mean, Betsy is amazing over at the Greetery, so very, 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 very amazing. Everything she puts out, I'm like, oh, I must have it. I must have it. So here is my second flower set. And as you can see, this will stamp both of those flowers. And on this one, I think I'm going to do the same, sort of a similar, just a darker color purple. On the other cards that I did, I ended up using a blue for the center of these flowers, like a darker blue, almost a navy. I think I used Simon Says Stamp Cadet ink, and I really liked that. Not sure why my camera got so bright right there. So anyway, I really liked the contrast of the blue with the purple flowers. It looked really, really good. So I like that you can change it up that way and get some different looks. I was fussing around with these flowers. With these, I was trying to make sure that the center of the stamp sort of was over the center of the flower, so you get a true center. With the rest of them, I didn't really have to worry about it too much. I think just rubbing my fingers over those stamps because this is the first time I'd used them, so I just wanted to condition them a little bit. So, and yes, I am using some Pink Fresh Studio purple ink here. I will link all of the inks that I used below in the YouTube description. I do know that the full-size stamp pads from Pink Fresh, most of them are sold out right now, but most of the ink cubes are in stock and they sell them in sets of 4. So I will link those below for your reference should you want to purchase these. I really love the Pink Fresh inks because they're so vibrant and so pretty, and they just really made these flowers pop. So it was fun. I think they would look good also with distress inks too, so that would be another option, using some distress inks, and you could get some different looks with that as well. I'm just stamping all these up, so I'll go ahead and put on a little bit more music, just going through the process, and I'll come back when I'm finished and we'll finish up this card. Okay, I am back. I did break out my stencil again. I decided that these particular flowers, the blue ones, were getting a little lost with all the greenery, so I wanted to go back in and using the same ink color, I'm just darkening up the edges of those petals just to give them a little bit more definition. I really think that that made a lot of difference in the way that they looked because I think with all the greenery, they kind of got lost. So I like how this turned out. And then I think I added a little bit of extra blue to the centers too. Again, a little more definition. It was a quick and easy thing to just go in and add more definition. I love that you can do that with stencils. I just think, I don't know, stencils are like the best thing ever. So now I am going to, I've already stamped everything, so I'm going to die cut everything and using the coordinating die, and I've done that already, and I'm going to poke out all of the negative areas that the die cuts. So basically it creates, again, an A2 size card. So it cuts out all these negative pieces, which, you know, really this would be awesome to use with a clear panel behind it, maybe make a shaker card. That would be fun too. Although it would cover up a lot of the bottom part, but you could still see the shaker pieces out of the top. So a lot of different possibilities here with this. And then it cuts along the bottom edge. So it kind of, you know, it has a lot of little details in it. And it looks really nice when you cut it out. So I have my 2 panels. I did do a third. I didn't get all of that filmed. I think my camera cut out for part of it. I have some new camera equipment and I'm still getting used to it. So trying to create some better videos, and there's still a learning curve. No matter what I do, there's always a learning curve. Anyway, I needed to find a piece of cardstock that would work for the inside of the card for my sentiment. And I ended up grabbing for my Dare to Be Artsy center step die, because in that set there is this cute little scalloped, it's actually part of the center step layer that has these cute little scalloped borders on them with the little circles that cut out. And that actually fit inside my A2 size card perfectly. So I ended up using that. I stamped the dragonfly and the happy spring from the Photoplay stamp set. And this is the Photoplay Hop to It stamp set for Easter. It is a cute stamp set. And then I also stamped and masked the happy with some black ink. And then what I did was I stamped over it again with some embossing ink, and then heat set it with some clear embossing powder. So that just gave me a nice kind of shiny happy sentiment, and I'm going to pair that up with my Easter for the front of the card. Unfortunately, there is not a coordinating die for this, so I ended up fussy cutting it out. In hindsight, I probably would have used something different, but for this purpose it worked. I do like the way it turned out. So I did not leave the fussy cutting in because everybody's seen me fussy cut, and it's it's not fun. So what I did was I did cut a second background for each of my cards, just a solid white background, and I'm gluing it to the back just to add a little bit more stability. This also helps with your easel, keeping it upright, making sure it doesn't get flimsy or anything like that, especially if you're going to send something like this through the mail. So I just glued those together, got glue everywhere in the process because glue is not my friend. But I did use my stamp block and just kind of held those down for a little bit. Once they were dry, then I have cut my card bases, and you'll see they're top folding A2 size card bases. I scored 2 inches from the bottom of the front of the card, and that is where your floral panel will go, and I just glued those to the front. So it creates sort of an easel card to it. And I am punching out all of those little details on this die here. And I probably could have put this on here just with regular score tape or something, glue, but I ended up popping it up with dimensional foam. There's a look at the front of my card, and this is how it looks on the inside. And as an afterthought, I decided to go ahead and color my dragonfly. I just used some colors that were kind of similar to what I used on my card panel, just to kind of pull it together on the inside, and kept it pretty simple. But it worked out well. And the nice thing about this easel style card is that the top portion on the inside leaves plenty of room for a personal message to whoever it is you're sending the card to, which I was able to do that. But it still has this cute little detail, so when the card's being displayed, they see the flowers and then the dragonfly, and it says Happy Spring and then Happy Easter on the front of the card. So I think it came together nicely. I really like the way it turned out. And I did heat emboss this on the inside, and I know a lot of people say that you have to be careful when you're coloring if you've heat embossed something with alcohol markers. I've not had any problems. I don't do a lot of that, but I usually I try to be pretty careful when I'm coloring and I've already heat embossed something. I try not to get my markers directly on the embossed area. Just, you know, Copic markers are so expensive and the refills are expensive, so anything I can do to make my markers last longer, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So I know a lot of people who don't worry about it, but it's a personal preference. So I just try to be careful. So I'm going to add a little more details here. I was having a hard time getting the blending just right for this. But it looks so cute when it's all set up together. And I did add some, I didn't show it on screen, but I added some pearls to each of the flowers in the flower centers. I think it just makes it brings that much more interest to the card panel, makes them look really elegant. There's a look at my dragonfly and the front of my card. They turned out so cute. And I just like the added little pearls. And I tried to use pearls that were similar in color to the flowers, so they kind of coordinated together. So many possibilities with this set. I could go on and on. I just love this set. It was so much fun to create these cards. And they turned out so good. So happy with them. I'm coloring my second dragonfly. I was thinking as I was doing this, I really need to get, I saw a dragonfly stamp set that I would like to get. And I don't have very many dragonflies. I have a lot of butterflies, but not a lot of dragonflies. And dragonflies are one of my favorite things. So I need to branch out. But this stamp set from Photoplay is adorable. It has a little bunny image in it, and a bunny in a basket, and some Easter eggs, and a carrot, and some flowers. So I highly recommend that stamp set. If you haven't checked out any of Photoplay stuff, I would recommend getting some of that. And so that wraps up my card for today. Thank you so very much for joining me. I hope you will click the like and subscribe to see all of my content. Thank you again. Goodbye.